but be employees. They didn't let us know we had brilliant doctors and lawyers and inventors. They just taught us about the people who was always fighting.
It's ready now.
And those who ended
so
slavery.
Going to the
it was always to benefit them. But once the world started...
Yeah, it's ready now, so I'm going back to the stream yard. Oh, that is such a inconvenience. Okay, let's just try this again. Let me at least back up to brother.
To sign a petition that's in my bio, donate to help us organize this lawsuit.
For his class action lawsuit. I wanted to write his name down in it.
About their experiences, because there is nothing wrong with that. Let's get into this video.
Brothers and sisters, they're coming for us again. But this time, we know the playbook. At least we should, if we know our history. You see, the United States Department of Education just launched a national portal to report teachers, schools, workplaces that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Translation: if you believe in true history, not the whitewashed BS that they've been teaching us, you could be investigated, fired, or even shut down. Sound familiar? It should. You remember the Daughters of the Confederacy? They did this in the early 1900s, rewriting history to erase slavery's truth and push the lie that the Civil War was about states' rights. Yeah, their rights to own slaves, but they don't want you knowing that. Now, the Moms of Liberty are running the same game. They're not even changing the game plan, and the government is backing them. You see, back then, it wasn't illegal. It was just wrong. But now, it's illegal, and it's time we fight back with the law. We're coming after them for lying about our history. There's so much we lost by not knowing how brilliant black people was, and they did that on purpose. It was not something by mistake. On purpose, they had a strategy to destroy our history. They did not teach it because they didn't want us to become brilliant. They wanted us to become mediocre and think that we weren't capable or able to do anything but be employees. They didn't let us know we had brilliant doctors, lawyers, and inventors. They just taught us about the people who was always fighting for equality and those who ended slavery. It was always to benefit them. But once the world started realizing the truth, they went after us and started calling things DEI to destroy everything that we had just built to be able to let our people know they're brilliant, the truth.
Oh, good day, family. I don't know, my YouTube started buffering and stuff. And hello, JR Junior Meadows. All right, DMV, we're in the building. FBA, stand up for justice. It's so good to see you. Yeah, it started buffering and stuff. And so I just, I tried to get on the tablet, but then I just came back to StreamYard because I really want us to see this video. It's so good to see you. At least get it out here, you know. If family come back, that's good. But if not, we still going to, it'll be out there when we can get back to it.
Set you free. But no, they want to imprison us with their lies. Well, no more. We're building a class action lawsuit against the United States government, the school boards, and all those pushing this attack on our history. But we need you. We need you to sign a petition that's in my bio. Donate to help us organize this lawsuit. Get the best lawyers. Go over the laws that we know that they're breaking and make them pay for those crimes. And the ones they're trying to start to do on top of that. See, this goes way back to 1954. You can say all the way back to 1877, but you know how people are. You weren't alive in 1867? That was so long ago. Well, the laws were created in 1954. So we got a lot of people still alive, and they've been messing with our right to know the truth about true history forever. And now that the laws have existed and they're putting things in place once again, we should fight back. The law is on our side, so join the fight. Sign, donate, and share. Once we have enough people signed up, possibly for a lawsuit, then we can seek a lawyer. You donate, we can be able to find the best lawyers, put it together, and make it happen. It's about time we stop them in their tracks for messing with our history. The world should know the contributions we've had to this country, 100%. It should not be, in my opinion, Black history, It should be American history. It should not be woven to just show white people. If anything, the people who fought for this country deserve to be talked about, and not just 1 month. It is American history. It should be talked about 24/7. Join the fight. Sign, donate, share.
A West Davis school district teacher is being told to remove 2 signs of inclusion from her middle school classroom because the school district says they violate policy. And now she's sharing her story. Brian Holmes talked to her.
Oh, wow. I wrote some notes on that.
My building
The
administration.
teacher, Sarah
During
Inahan.
my lunch period and told me that they needed to be taken down by the end of the day. They told me that they were in violation of district policy.
Good job. They told her to take it down.
Environment, they're considered a personal opinion. Did they say somebody complained about them? No. I asked if anyone had complained about it then, and they said no. We just want to protect you from that if that were to happen. In this political environment, that is not acceptable. Yeah, I was told a couple things. That everyone is welcome here is not something that everybody believes. So that's what makes it a personal opinion. You were told this, that not everyone believes everyone is welcome. Right. Okay. And who told you this? Who was the one saying that not everyone believed this? My building administration and district personnel.
District personnel.
What did you do for a living? Postal worker for 40 years. Have you ever done any volunteer work at the hospital? No, but when he was a kid, he was a medic for the Freedom House Ambulance Service. That's incredible. I will be in as soon as I can. Thank you. Because a legend. Turn up that gas tea, old man.
I showed those 2 videos because I want to go ahead and just declare something. Okay? This is why we should have executed all of those traitors after the Civil War. This is why. We should have crushed them. Not just beaten them, but arrested them, tried them, convicted them, and sentenced them to death. We should have. We should have made a clean sweep. Clean sweep. The phrase "the South will rise again" should have been met with some law enforcement. And if the people within law enforcement are sympathetic to them, arrest their bitch asses too. Because what we have been dealing with ever since is this aggrievement that the South got their ass whooped. We have been fed this false history that entails that it wasn't about slavery, it's about states' rights to own fucking human beings. Don't get me wrong, the North was not all rainbows and happiness about this shit either. They didn't give a fuck either way. Abraham Lincoln did not give a fuck whether or not there was slavery or not slavery. He just wanted to preserve the Union. And he even stated this.
That's what he said.
So here's the thing. Why don't we try this for a change? All the states that seceded, give them back. Give them to the South. Make all of these fucking white supremacists and racists move their ass to these 12 states or whatever. Give them back. Let them be able to say that inclusion isn't wanted here. All people are not welcome. Give them all those states.
At 2 Men and a Truck, we'll treat you and your belongings like we treat our own grandmas.
Here we go.
Whether we're moving you across...
And I agree with my brother. I sure do. I agree with my brother. Let their ass go on and do what they want to do. And Black America don't need to be trying to go with them. Sure don't. You don't need to be trying to go with them. Let them have them states, like my brother is saying, our brother is saying, makes sense to me. That's what they want to do. And that be their airfare with the drones and the flying cars and stuff. Yeah. Why not? Clearly, they don't want to be a part of society, a normal, healthy, working society. So, yeah, I agree with my brother. Shit, sure do. Give them what they want.
On the Confederate States of America. Leave the rest of America to us.
Yeah.
Give them back. Give them the fuck back. Let them have it. They can have their own government. They can let Donald Trump president for life until his ass keels over from that widowmaker heart attack that's been chasing his ass. Whatever. Make J.D. Vance you can put Trump on your fucking flag. Go ahead. Go away. Go away. That way we don't have to be polluted with your fragile fucking feelings about, oh, woe is me. My great grandpa did. Cornpone Beauregard fought for the Confederates and he's treated like shit. Yeah, he is. Because he's a fucking traitor. He's a fucking traitor. But you know what? You can have all of that down south. All of it. But you will not have the United States. You will not have any of the backing of the United States. All military bases, all federal military bases should be closed down in these Confederate states and moved up north. Pete Hegseth can be your Secretary of Defense. Make do with whatever the fuck you have. You have a whole lot of volunteers and ramps. Go ahead. We will not be your trade partners. In fact, we will treat you the same way Reagan treated the fucking Soviets. It's a Cold War, period. That way y'all can stop fucking polluting the rest of us with your bullshit. That way you can stop. You can stop. At the end of the day, that's all this comes down to. That's it. You know that, right? That's it. The fragile feelings of people that felt like they should be in charge all the goddamn time. Well, we'll give you all of the states that seceded, we'll give them to you. Give people time enough who do not believe in your bullshit to move the fuck out. And then our federal government will offer them subsidies for buying a new house or starting a new business here outside of the Confederate States of America. We will not be your trade partners. You trade with other people, that's fine, but I'm pretty sure, if the rest of the world finds out that, oh, those are the people that believed in that Southern strategy shit, yeah, we're not going to trade with them. You're going to have Russia and North Korea as your motherfucking trade partners. The rest of us will go on and try to have some sort of a normal life. Marjorie Taylor Greene probably did have it right. There should be a national divorce. But you motherfuckers shouldn't get away with being the vocal minority and we give you everything you want. No, you will have the states that seceded and that's it. That's it. The rest of us will look at you as you literally slowly dissolve and that you eat your motherfucking self alive. When you all of a sudden discover that, hey, I was MAGA, but I wasn't like that. I didn't want to hang out with the Nazis. Our music? No. You will pay a steep tax just to play our music. You can have your own radio stations with all that tight jeans wearing Morgan wailing up there you want. Morgan can even say the N-word all the fuck he wants. Kid Rock he can write your national anthem. You won't use ours. Sporting events, make your own. Make your fucking own. Because we're done with this. Yep. We're done with having to fucking hide our goddamn history because your fucking feelings feel bad. The fact that a school district told a teacher that all are welcome here in this political environment could be dangerous shows you we are fucking appealing to the wrong fucking people. The loud, vocal, ain't never done shit, ain't gonna do shit fucking minority. So give them what they want. You want your own country? You can have it. You just won't have it with us. Our tax dollars will not go to you. We will talk about build that wall across that whole motherfucking Confederate border. All of it. From Texas up to Virginia. And we will watch as you drown. We will watch as you choke on your mitts. And we will not help you in the fucking least bit. Maybe if y'all keep fucking and fuck your way out of this goddamn mentality, maybe we can talk about bringing your ass back to the table. But for right now, no. No. I'm tired of thinking about my kids and grandkids living in a country where, oh, inclusivity, diversity is a fucking problem. Is a fucking problem. You want to teach them goddamn dumbass yard HCOers that they're superior? Go ahead. But leave them where the fuck they are. Let them try to find work within the Confederacy. We don't need to be brought down because of you dumbass people. We don't. If America's ever going to go forward, we either have to recognize these people and breed them the fuck out of existence, or we got to give them their own little homeland so where they can go over there with all their little racist ideology and bullshit and stay there. Maybe that's it. Maybe we do need a national divorce. But y'all don't get a chance to come in and use our federal dollars to adhere to your fragile motherfucking feelings. You can have the Confederate States and the Confederate Bucks. You can try to find trade partners all over the world, but I doubt you'll be able to do it. And you motherfuckers will be at war with all of Central America within, 6 months. 6 months. And the rest of the United States of America, we got nothing for you. Put all those people that believe in that bullshit, that vocal minority, put them in those states that fucking seceded from the Union. Give them that. And then when their Social Security and shit runs the fuck out because the Confederacy is broke as fuck, when you decide to come back here, leave that bullshit where you at it. Because we're done carrying you deadwood, driftwood American motherfuckers.
The Democrats are sinking, and I don't mind.
And Jim, we asking you, what the fuck do you have to be happy about? You're playing partisan politics as if your ass isn't a black man in America. At your big ass age. You are over here cheering the demise of one political party. As if that other political party is going to open their arms and accept you. While you over here cheering for the demise of one party, which, by the way, they're not sinking, they're cracking. They're trying to figure out whether or not they can be Republican light, or if they're actually going to be beholden to progressive ideas that people want to see done. They're not sinking, they're cracking. But while you over here cheering for that, the other fucking parties like the fucking virus and The Last of Us, the MAGA cordyceps have completely overrun the Republican Party. They are now a bloater. They are now a fucking bloater. Impervious to factual information. Working off of no sort of plan whatsoever except maximum hurting of those who voted for them and those who support them. Oh, except for the billionaires. And here you are dancing as if your ass is gonna get you a fucking, an invitation to their little party. The fuck you got to be happy about? Because it is people such as yourself that will ignore one party to focus on another when both of them are dog shit. Both of them, neither one of them have given a fuck about your black ass your entire big ass age life. And you want the chaos as if it won't hurt you. It will. It'll hurt all of us. This level of bullshit from the two major fucking political parties is bad for every working class person. Every paycheck to paycheck person, every person who has to worry about rent or fucking medicine, every one of us. While you over here dancing. Let me help you understand something. Do you understand what happens if they burn this entire system down? What's at the heart of it? What the fuck is at the heart of it? Capitalism and racism. In other words, with no rudder whatsoever, the wolves are going to just eat everyone. It will be a zombie apocalypse. It really will be the last of us. Because they will tear every person down that they just don't like. You don't think your black ass is at the top of the fucking list? Maybe instead of cheering on the demise of one party as if the other party isn't a cancerous fucking thing in the first place, maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, you should be trying to come up with a solution. Something that helps black folks in particular, but working class people in general, rather than dancing around like a fucking idiot. Maybe you should be doing that. But I forgot. You think your proximity to whiteness is going to save you. Trust me, it won't. Because at the end of the day, they don't like you either. Neither one of them give a fuck about you. You best get your fucking head out of your ass. Because it's going to get you hurt in the long run. But you're dumbass.
This is all I got from this video. And the fight on Black history did not start today. It's been a while that it started. I said 4 or 5 years ago. It really became they've been fighting to make sure that our Black history is not being taught. And you all already know how whitewashed American, because Black history is American history. All these years, it's been whitewashed, because tell me how people that are really old, that are 50, 40 years, will tell you that they were not taught all that in school and all that. That means it did not start today. It's been there for a very long time. But a couple of years ago, war on Black history became really, really very stronger. Why? Because tell me how today, or some years back, few years back, schools, libraries do not have any Black history books. You cannot find anyone. In classrooms, you cannot find anyone. Why? I said, how many years? Okay, I think 2 or 3 years ago, if I am not mistaken, Florida went all out for Black people. Why? Ban Black books. All of it. Take them away from libraries. Let them disappear. Why? Because one of the studies said that Black history is violent, and it's better that it is not being taught, because it affects their children. When Black history is not being taught to them, it hurts Black people and hurts our kids, our brothers, sisters, nephews, and nieces. Why? Because they will be the ones suffering from their oppression. It is the oppressors acting like they are the oppressed, or the oppressors acting like the people that they are oppressing are the ones oppressing them. I remember vividly what one of the studies did, because at some point there is this slogan, Florida is where woke goes to die. For those that still remember, I remember this particular one vividly. If care is not, it's 3 or 4 years ago, if I am not mistaken, will remind me of the time when this happened, because I remember bringing it here. Go woke, go woke. Go broke, go woke. Woke, anything. In schools, it was all shut down. School, books burned, taken away from classes. I am going to say, I appreciate the fact that that white teacher came out to talk about it, because sometimes there are still good ones, right? In as much as they cannot be trusted, there are still good ones that know how bad they have treated people that look like me, and our kids too. Because tell me how in class they are telling you that is not allowed. Because tell me how one day they woke up, including Florida, also saying that slavery benefited slaves. And so many Black people ran with it. Candace Owen was part of the people that ran with it, with some other conservatives. How did slavery? It is just a crazy person. Someone that is really crazy that will come out and say something like this and stand on it. Black people went crazy then, like how? The one thing I want you all to know is that these people are ready to do anything to make sure that your history is never ever. But tell me, how do you want to wipe away somebody's history? That is the least. That is something that will never ever happen. Because they will keep talking about it. If you like, stop your kids from learning what they are supposed to do, because this is part of the lies that they've been spreading that kept their kids in bondage to the extent that they do not even know what is going on around them and what their ancestors did. except the ones that were able to grasp it. Because at some point, about 2-3 years ago, I remember some of them coming out to confess about some certain things their grandparents did. Everybody really have to buckle up. As parents, you have to teach your children. Why do you have to teach your children? Because history is like something you can, it's from generation to generation. And when you do not pass it around at some point, not like people will not be talking about it. People will keep talking about it, but the people that got that knowledge will be very few. And when the people with the knowledge are few, it hinders the spread and the awareness of that particular history. Try as much as you can as parents at home to do what you can to make sure that your kids are up to date. Teach them there is nothing wrong in knowing your history. My parents passed the history across folk tales and all that, and I will try my best too to pass it down. Because if you don't pass it, they won't know. They will just be living on like shallow-minded kind of individual, and that is the level they get to. The history will start repeating itself. And for the man to start saying, Democrats are sinking, that is your problem. You all do not understand how so many things are affecting your own community. And you are there screaming Democrat is sinking. Who cares about Democrat? When majority of Black people that voted for Kamala Harris, they are not even Democrats. But they voted because they feel that she is the right person that can do the job or that can get the job done. So continue to deceive yourself as an elderly person. The worst part is seeing an elderly person come out to make fun of himself. I am not going to be hard on Papa. But Papa, you have to come back home because home is where heart belongs. See you all in my negative. Bye for now.
Oh, that well, I will be looking for the video. I'll be going back to this video to the comments so I can get our brothers. Oh, so I can get our brothers' petition. And then Brother 100 is gonna also send us the petition, aren't you, brother? So we can, your documents. So we can get on board with that right there too. This right here is 2 of our twin brothers, y'all. Missed their flight and was found deceased. I didn't want to leave it on that right there. We're going to watch this. It's only 10 minutes, and then we're going to read. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and read.
Wait, how they end out in the mountains? They don't hike out there. They never even been out there. They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia.
This happening all over the country, y'all. Black men coming up
how
missing.
Did they end up
Deceased,
right there?
hanging.
A mystery this family is trying to solve.
They had a huge support system. Like, we know that they wouldn't do anything like this. So to say that they did this to each other when they come from a family of love, and they loved each other, they always together, I don't believe that. They didn't do this to each other. Something happened in those mountains, and we want answers.
Something happened to them.
And look, I told y'all,
Somebody
this channel, we hold racist, Caucasian people accountable, because if the tables were turned, if you had 2 Caucasian twins that was unalived in a Black town, they would hold us accountable. Matter of fact, they will come over and destroy our town. We have the proof. We have the history. Look, Tulsa Massacre. How you think that was created? How you think they destroyed that? Why you think they destroyed that? Because of a lie from a Caucasian person. Lake Lanier. How you think that happened? How you think that turned into a lake? How you think a Black town turned into a lake? It was because of a lie of a Caucasian person. So all I'm saying is keep that same energy, boy. And I'm going to be honest, as a truck driver, once you step on those back roads in this country, you are going back to the 1950s. So that's why I wish I knew those twins, because in Georgia, I would tell them, the Lyft driver, the Uber driver, don't trust them, because in this country, they are stealing organs from our people. But we'll get to that later on in this video. In the meantime, let's get into this article and let's expose this sundown town. And this article is by 11 Alive. It was published March 14, 2025 at 11:19 p.m. Twin brothers missed their flight to Boston, found dead 24 hours later in Georgia mountains. Towns County, Georgia. A mystery is unfolded on Bell Mountain in Towns County after the bodies of twin brothers from Lawrenceville, Georgia, were discovered nearly 90 miles from home. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is initially treating the case as a murder, deleting themselves, but the victim's family is pushing back, saying that the explanation doesn't add up. Quador and Nizar Lewis, both 19, were found shot to death Saturday morning by a hiker at the summit of Bell Mountain near the North Carolina border. And first of all, shout out to the family for not believing what those cops were saying that they did to themselves. And I noticed something. I always see a pattern. Every time this happened in a sundown town, that's the first thing they say. Because once you say that, now they got their narrative. Once they say that, they hoping that the family would go for it. So shout out to that family for not going for it. And look, by now, y'all know me. Y'all know I love to do my research. And I found this out. Owasso, Georgia, 94.2 Caucasian people, 0.4 Black people. That told me everything I needed to know. The family said the brothers had booked a flight to Boston for 7 a.m. last Friday, but never made their flight. Just 24 hours later, they were found dead in an area the family said they had never visited before. The family said the brothers' plane tickets were found in their wallets on the mountain. And look, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to tell y'all what's going on. They took an Uber or a Lyft and they was kidnapped. I made multiple videos that these days people are kidnapping our people. Not even just kidnapping them. They used it in hospitals too. They using our Black women in hospitals. They forcing them to have C-sections so they can take out certain organs out of their body to give to the rich and then close them back up, seal them back up, and a few days later, they die. I'm telling you, they doing this to our people. Not just in Georgia, not just in New York, they doing it in Alabama too. I made videos about that. They doing it to the prisoners. They're using that as an excuse. The state of
having your information freely available on the internet.
That was our brother right there. That's one. That's one. I don't think that's runaway slave. That is introvert rock star.
Steal organs from prisoners. I'm telling you, that's what's really going on, but they ain't gonna talk about it. So that's why I say to that family, you cannot trust the cops. I'm gonna be real. You might have to do your own investigation. You might have to hire a private investigator because all these people are on the same team, the investigators, the DA, especially when the town is this small, especially in a sundown town. They don't care about you being Black. They've been doing this. This is probably our first time just hearing about it, but they've been doing this. And a lot of people online, they love to talk about Black on Black crime. But when stuff like this happens, everybody quiet. The GBI confirmed that autopsies have been completed, but the agency is still awaiting additional forensic test results, along with additional investigative work before issuing a final ruling on the cause of death. And how ironic that they need time to investigate, but the autopsy is finished. And you telling me that you need time to investigate. This town, this county has a population of 1,002 people. You telling me no one knows anything? And we know how those small towns get. Everybody talk. Everybody gossip. Oh, Caucasian people ain't different from Black people. They gossip too, probably even more. They gossip, they talk your business, they tell everything, especially when somebody dies in their town. So you telling me out of 1,002 people, no one knows anything. Make it make sense. And then I stepped back and I said, let me see, do they have a Facebook or Instagram account? And lo and behold, I found their Facebook account. And I went, scrolling, and 6 days later, they posted the article, but they never posted pictures. I'm telling you why. This is why they never posted pictures of those twins, because they knew it would go viral. It was 2 Black boys found on a mountain, on top of a mountain in a sundown town. They knew it would go viral. So all they posted was the GBI article. That's it. But if they would have posted those Black twins, they knew it would have went viral and everybody would have said the truth. Because you got to think about it. When you first hear this story, your gut feeling will tell you the truth. Your gut feeling will say, oh, a racist Caucasian did this. And we need answers, like the family said. We need answers. That's why we make these videos. I don't make these videos because I love it, but I have to, because if it was black on black crime, it'll be everywhere. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be all over the news. But since it's quiet, nobody talking about it. And see me, I love history. And once you start digging into history of these dirty, hillbilly, dog-smelling towns, it will tell you everything you need to know. Check this out. Towns County saw a sharp drop in black residents between 1900 and 1910 and had 0 African Americans within its borders from 1920 to 1940. Oral evidence suggests this county seat of Hiwassee had a reputation for violence against African Americans, particularly after nightfall, aka sundown time. And look, I'm gonna keep it real. This case shouldn't be hard. They from Lawrenceville, so you go back to Lawrenceville. Lawrenceville, if you've ever been to Lawrenceville, Georgia, you know it's cameras everywhere. Everybody moving there. It used to be the dug off spot, but now everybody moving there. So it's like a big city now. But Lawrenceville, Georgia, it got cameras everywhere. You just go back and you look. Did they get in the Uber? Did they get in the lift? That's all you have to find out. You have to trace their cell phones. You got towers now. It's 2025. What you mean you don't have all the evidence? It's 2025. Trace their cell phones. That's going to tell you everything you need to know. But you have one problem. When stuff like this happens against our people, all of a sudden, no one knows anything. Like I tell y'all, these people are on the same team, especially when you're dealing with these sundown towns. They're not going to talk. I don't care if they have black people in a sundown town. They're not going to talk either because they have to live there. And if you're an outsider, if you're a black person, they don't care about you. They're going to move on with life. So that's why I say the family, you probably have to get a private investigator because you can't trust those cops. Those cops are crooked. How can you hate another race? That's crazy. And a lot of times you have to use your common sense. Why would 2 young black men be in a town with over 94% Caucasian people? That's not happening unless they were kidnapped. And everybody in that town knows. I'm telling you, it's only 1,002 people. Somebody knows something. And I told y'all, you have to pay attention to these movies they show us. Movies like Get Out. Movies like They Clone Tyrone. TV series like Lovecraft Country. They told us they was cloning people. They told us they was stealing organs and using it for themselves. They told us this stuff. So we have to pay attention. This is happening in real time. That's what happened to those twins, but they'll never tell us that because everybody against us is on the same team. And like I said earlier, what did they do to our people back in the day when a Caucasian woman lied and said a black man did this? They came into town and they destroyed the whole town. They destroyed the whole city all over America. Sometimes I feel like we have to keep that same energy. Sometimes I feel like we have to do what they used to do to get some results because talking ain't doing nothing. So to the family, please don't give up on your twins. Please don't just let this go in the wind. No, someone knows something and y'all should be on this case. Don't just let it go. Because these people aren't alive, your family members. Because if this was in a black community, they will come into town with SWAT teams. They will bring the National Guard in and they will destroy the hood. So rest in peace to those twins. I'm out.
Watch what eggs.
That's our brother. I don't even want to see no more commercials and stuff. Guess I have to pay to not have commercials. That was our brother. That was on Introvert Rockstar. His channel is on YouTube. And then Taylor House Publishing and Evans Reynolds. Those some that we listen to and stuff. I think I could go to CapCut, but it's not supported with this laptop right here. And then I'll be able to learn how to do stuff like that too. But I do enjoy going to our channels because they teaching us, they telling us. One of my favorite ones to learn about our history is Julian Johnson Law. And it deals a lot. It tells a lot about this, what we have gone through at the hands of white America. Julian Johnson Law. y'all. And it's so much that white people have done to us, we can't ignore it anymore. I know it's very challenging. We don't want to. We don't want to face it. We don't want to face them. We don't want to bring this up. We want to just be done with it. And we would have been done with all of this. We would have been done with all of this if we were able to hold ourselves, you know, and love on us and be loyal to us. If we would have been able to choose us instead of choosing white America. See, we chose white America. We chose white America, their feelings, their wants, you know, what they needed. And now look at us. Look at us today. So, yeah, you know, we got to choose us. This time we must choose us. This time and every time after now. You got to teach your babies and stuff. Because when we gone from here and stuff, our babies are still going to be in this manipulative matrix. This situation right here. You know, I believe the first brother right there, you know, let them go. White folks gone down to them states. And you know, that's where they'll be at and stuff, you know, and let them go on and breathe out. Let them go on and breathe themselves out and stuff, you know. And the rest of us, I don't know, I kind of feel like in his vision, the rest of America will still be together in the rest of the country. And that's fine. You know, we all got to be on this planet together. However, I feel like we, Black America, we need to just cut a cold break. When we all here left and we done send all these racist asses down south where they want to be at to build their confederacy down there and stuff, their own government, do their own thing down there with each other. You ain't even got to come across that line. Not up north, not to the other states, because you ain't wanted by nobody. So in the northern states and stuff, the way I'm seeing it is, you know, everybody else will be in the northern states. And true, we all will still be together in, you know, vicinity with each other, living and stuff, living life. But I think we still need to separate. Black America do. We need to be focusing on us. It's enough to just work together. You know, it's enough to just work together and be civil with each other when we out and about. But as far as I'm concerned, that's as far as it go. It's as far as it go. We need to put the brakes on with everything. And white folks need to be understanding of this. White folks need to not try to guilt trip us. Oh, well, we got rid of the racist white people and stuff. They're all down south in their Confederate states. You know, I'm talking about his vision, you know. But that's not good enough. We glad they down there too. We glad they asses down there too. But us, we need to focus on us now. You know, yeah, y'all, we all up here up north together in the other states. You do you, we'll do us, and we'll still make this thing work together. As far as being the two, you know, as far as being the mind, the conscious being on the planet. But I feel like, yeah, we need to get away from white folks. We need to get away from white folks. I don't know how we're going to do it, what we're going to do it, but yeah, that's an idea right there. You know, what he got, I can get with his vision and stuff, send all them racist asses down there. And those that ain't racist, them garden snakes, like Malcolm said, the 1,000 garden snakes. But when you let them in and stuff, you got to be worried about all the other toxic, poisonous snakes. You know, so yeah, send all them rattlesnakes and them boa constrictors and shit, send all their asses down south. Hey, I can get with it. Leave the garden snakes up there, you know, in society with everybody. But we need to get our ass from around it. Because, see, the thing about it is, from us, for us, it's still their sons. Them still going to be their peoples that's down there, still plotting and planning. So, you know, I still feel like we need to go and make our clean break right now. You know, white folks need to understand this. Hell, the planet is big enough. This planet, this country is big enough. You know, let's get the copyright disclaimer out the way, because that'd be like the last thing I be wanting to do, ain't it? Copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses of use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use. Tips to balance in favor of fair use. And let's get our reading done. And yeah, we're going to get our reading done, and we're going to have us an early night. I'm trying to finish this book, but we know how that goes. The Lynchings in Duluth, Minnesota. And this book here is the second edition by Michael Fedo, Fedo. And he wrote this book right here. The foreword by William D. Green. We're on chapter 19 though. We making way with this. It's taking a while, but we doing it. And I thank y'all so much. I do. And I got some books coming. Yep, I done ordered some books from our books to buy. Y'all the ones that was giving me some books. I ordered medical apathy. Am I saying it right? I ordered that book. I sure did. Yep, and I ordered The Delectable Negro. I ordered Ida B. Wells, The Red Record, for our nightly walk, midnight walk with the ancestors, midnight with the ancestors. Chapter 19, 11:45 p.m., Saturday, June the 19th, 1920. Word came back to the jail. You know, they done lynched our brothers now. Word came back to the jail that there didn't seem to be any groups forming anywhere in the city. The patrols had been out all over. Armored trucks lumbered through the West End and West Duluth. There was some mean stares from folks, but no back talk, no trouble. By now the undercover boys were filtering back too. Troops in civilian clothes who'd been mingling with local citizens. They reported nothing unusual. Midnight. I think the worst of it is over, a soldier told Beecher and Mackey. The people don't have no stomach for it no more. Now, because they asses done sat there and they done lynched 3 innocent black men. And they knew what they were doing. They knew that Irene Tuscan hadn't been raped by six black men that were working at the carnival. They knew this. They just had to get that release. You know how you cry and you feel that release afterwards? They had to get that release. And, you know, waiting that year from 1919 to 1920, there must have been a hell of a wait for them. It must have been a hell of a wait for them. I believe our brother that was upstairs in the room, I think his name was Anthony. I think him standing up to them when they came to his cell to get him and lynch him, and he was defiant with them, you know, and he just let them know we didn't even do nothing, you know. And I think that let some of them know, yeah, he was seeing right through them. He was seeing right through them. I don't know. I have to ask white folks about this. White folks got some explaining to do. They ain't really got no explaining to do. Just get the fuck away from us. Just get away from us. We gonna know what you did. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to know. That's fine. But we will. Our children will. You better start with something easy for our babies. Get your ass up. You put your Harlequin romance book down too. Them little babies you got at home, so you start reading to them babies. Find you something. Inside the cell room, some of the blacks tried to sleep under the muted glare of the lights in the halls. One anguished prisoner whispered to his guard, "They coming tonight, Mr. Man? Nobody's coming to get you out of here, boy." The guard replied, and the man nodded his thanks. "I hope not," he said. "Lord, I do hope not." Sunday, June 20th, 1920. Another day and night of waiting passed. But this time the card games in the jail and in the back of trucks were good-natured. The spirit of the mob had been broken. Even the coffee seemed to taste fresher and provided welcome breaks. Now, instead of extending the monotony and tension, a corporal read a psalm from his Bible and offered a quiet prayer of thanks for the peace of another day and for the absence of further violence. Troops and special deputies made plans to return home, to enter fresh-made beds and feel cool, clean linen against tired, aching limbs. Time now to give thought to the routine of summer and maybe a few days off. Wildeyes and northerns were still biting, and it would be good to get kids up to Fish Lake for some angling. If you were an ordinary officer or deputy, or even one sworn in for special duty during the disruptions, you were able to count on going home, your job completed. That justice had been denied 3 men was a fact. It was too bad, but the daily routine, after all, beckoned, and for sure, such a thing could never happen again. There'd be stories to tell among the neighbors who'd ask all sorts of questions. And if you were on duty, you could discuss it all now. And you could have commented on how it was and how the newspapers always got things screwed up. You'd have said nothing about how it was mostly waiting around and chewing the rag. Sure, you probably had agreed with Murnian that no white man should have risked his life for a black. Still, they could have tried like they were supposed to have been. They'd have all rotted in their cells at Stillwater State Prison anyway. And besides, that girl was probably fooling around with her boyfriend at the circus. You had heard the talk, and you knew too that many Duluth blacks figured the girl was just a prostitute on the prowl. Well, you didn't go quite that far yourself, but probably thought the niggers were just in on a little action. But most of all, you were tired, very tired. Chapter 20. Detective Morgan from the Employers Detective Service was a listener, an eavesdropper, a penetrating observer with an eye for detail, an ear for innuendo. And on his visit to Duluth, he kept his senses honed to on the periphery of local gossip as he diligently probed for background data. He might have expected difficulties bringing his investigation into the open on a case of this sort. At first, he found many folks unwilling to discuss it. The Sullivan family refused to talk to him, but he did land a break. Irene Tusken, Tusken, that was her name. Irene Tusken agreed to see him if her mother could be present. And Dr. Graham said he would see Morgan. Morgan also checked in with Murphy and Sheriff Mackey, and both men said they had no reason to believe the girl was not a good character. As Morgan began his examination into the alleged rape, he wanted to get medical opinion from doctors without appearing obvious. He selected the Lyceum Drug Store on the corner of 5th Avenue West and Superior Street. That's Lyceum, Lyceum Drug. Lyceum Drug Store, like for lice? I'm just saying the word Lyceum. I never heard it before. He did not engage a doctor in conversation there, but found a willing talker in Albert Bush, a clerk. Well, I heard doctors saying here all week that Graham wasn't sure the girl had been raped. Well, I heard doctors saying here all week that Graham wasn't sure the girl had been raped, Bush said. From what I hear, this Sullivan was taking liberties with her at the time the Negroes were supposed to have assaulted her. Lots of folks say the boy isn't the decent sort, talking about Jimmy. Mr. Bludgett sure hasn't got nothing good to say about the boy. And I think his father or somebody was a sheriff or a deputy. Blodgett owned a store south of 7th Avenue West. He told Morgan he knew Sullivan, but wished he didn't. A wild, vicious character that nearly a year ago, with a party of young men and girls, broke into my summer cottage on Lake Superior. They smashed furniture, tore a bed linen, and they had been drinking too. A neighboring businessman, George Hargrave, Hargrave, told Morgan that Sullivan was a young man of evil repute. He drank liquor whenever he got a chance. Further, it was Hargrave's impression that the girl had been running around with men and might have been of loose morals. Morgan, acting on another tip, visited the law firm of Williams and Pearson, Pearson, P-A-R-S-O-N, at 311 Lonsdale Building on Superior Street, where he was told again that Sullivan was a woman chaser and inclined to drink heavily. On June 18th, Morgan arrived for his appointment with the Tusken family. He began by reviewing information that had already appeared in the papers. Then Irene told him she left her house on June 14th with Jimmy, though the newspaper version indicated she left alone, meeting him later. Morgan did not press for clarification. She later said they met friends there and walked around for about 30 minutes. Morgan then started probing the basic issue. How many Negroes grabbed you? 4, she said. Did you make any attempt to cry out? I did, but one of the Negroes put his hand in my mouth. Didn't Jimmy help you? He couldn't, as one of the Negroes pinned his arms and another held the gun to his head. How did they take hold of you? They grabbed my arms and shoulders. What did they do then? I don't know. Sullivan later told me that 4 Negroes were fighting on top of me. Did you feel any ill effects after the assault? Yes, my arms were a little sore. No bruises. No clothes all scuffed up, no dirt, and like she had been, assaulted. Hair wasn't messed up or nothing. Morgan must have been at least mildly surprised at the easy responses from the girl. She did not appear unduly distressed over her alleged encounter. Well, he went on, how long was it after you fainted that you came to your senses and knew what was going on? Because when she went home and her mother was sitting there, she went right on up to her room. So if her mother had seen her disheveled and stuff, she would have asked her what happened to you. But her mama knew wasn't nothing wrong with her. She hadn't been raped. They all did. I don't know, but I don't think it was very long. Where were the Negroes upon your regaining your senses? Walking away from the place. Now, didn't you tell other parties in Duluth which way the Negroes directed you to leave the grounds after the assault? Yes, they did direct us out. What did you do then? Took a streetcar home and sat on the porch with Sullivan about half an hour talking about the occurrence, and then went to bed. Morgan didn't believe her, but showed no emotion, and posed the next question. Why didn't you and Sullivan immediately after the affair go and report it? I thought it best to keep it quiet, she replied. Well, how did Sullivan come to speak about the matter? He went to work at 12 o'clock midnight where he spots boats on the Duluth Mississippi, MISSABE, and Northern Ore Docks. And his father is night superintendent. Oh, okay. Because his dad was there or something, but he told his dad about it. He spoke to his father about it, and Mr. Sullivan telephoned my father, and they notified the police. Then they went to the circus train with Jimmy. He couldn't identify any of the Negroes, so they came up to our house and got me down there to identify him. They arrested 12. How could you identify them more than Sullivan if you fainted immediately after they grabbed you? I couldn't recognize them by their faces, but only by their size and physique. Isn't it funny you could see more than Jimmy? Isn't it funny you could see more than Jimmy? Well, they had me about 15 feet from where they had him. Her almost blasé responses must have struck Morgan as at least somewhat improbable. Here before him sat a girl allegedly attacked most cruelly, and yet 4 days later she appeared outwardly calm and relaxed. Was any of your clothing torn? Morgan asked. Irene did not respond immediately, but her mother said, one of the garments was a little torn. The garment, a union suit, had 2 small tears. Did you have any ill effects after the assault? She suffered a nervous breakdown, Mrs. Tuscan said. It was time to explore the inconsistencies, Morgan believed, but such delving would prove difficult. This nervous breakdown, that was from the notoriety that the newspapers gave the case, wasn't it? Yes, I guess so. Now, you mentioned some boys and girls who were with you at the circus grounds. Who were they? You said at first you knew them for years. What were their names? Well, I just knew them by their faces, and I don't know their names. Morgan let this pass. There would doubtless be other flaws and more significant ones. But before he had the opportunity to ask another question, Mrs. Tuscan terminated the interview. My daughter is not well, she said. She needs rest more than anything else. Though annoyed at not being able to nail down concrete evidence, Morgan called Dr. Graham and asked if there was any signs of assault on the girl. I don't think she was raped, the doctor said. The girl said her arms were a little sore. Still, I do not think she was assaulted. Well, doctor, you take a young girl like Miss Tuscan and have 4 Negroes rape her, there would be signs of abuse, would there not? Morgan asked. You would think so, said Dr. Graham. Morgan completed his investigation the next day, but turned up little of value for his report. What do you mean completed his investigation? Wasn't he supposed to go back and finish questioning her? He returned to St. Paul on the evening train and filed his typewritten data of 12 pages. with W.J. Carlin, manager of the detective agency. Carlin forwarded the report to William Francis, who in turn passed it on to Governor Burnquist. The governor, however, maintained a hands-off policy in the matter and merely filed the report, where it remains in a folder among the archives of the Minnesota Historical Society. Despite the governor's affiliation with the NAACP, nowhere is there evidence to suggest that attorneys for blacks incarcerated in Duluth ever saw Morgan's report. Wow. Nowhere is there evidence to suggest that attorneys for black people incarcerated in Duluth ever saw Morgan's report. Neither the interview with Irene Tuscan nor with Dr. Graham was ever introduced as evidence in the subsequent trial, nor did attorneys even ask disturbing questions such as those posed by Morgan. In the following days, fervor over lynchings died down, but the 13 prisoners languished in the county jail. However, indictments for murder and rioting continued dotting the pages of both Duluth newspapers. On July 3rd, Clifford Jackson, father of Elmer Jackson, the second person of the three to be lynched, filed a suit against Duluth police for negligence and sought $7,500 in damages. But a city attorney, John E. Samuelson, Samuelson, offhandedly dismissed the suit, stating, "The city is not liable." On the advice of another attorney, the elder Jackson did not press the case. 9 alleged participants in mob actions were confined in the local jail. A News Tribune reporter who visited them found them confident, almost jovial, like they just having a little vacation, I guess. 9 men were tramping up and down the corridor shouting, "Hup, hup," of the Army drill master and majestically executing squads of left and right. They seemed to be enjoying confinement, or at least they were not morbidly pining away. Some laughed, some sang, others marched through the drill with their hands on the shoulders of the man ahead, lifting their heels in the awkward goose step of well-regulated penitentiaries. Chapter 21, July the 10th, 1920. What bothered many Duluthians was that no positive identification had been made of any of the black men. Neither had the accused prisoners confessed nor given evidence against any of the other men. But some of the hostile reactions on the street, however, concluded that all of the blacks were guilty. If they hadn't committed the crime, they surely knew who did. Because they refused to cooperate, they were at least guilty of obstructing justice. Many also believed the city would have been better off if the whole lot had been hanged back on June the 15th, saving the money for the trials. Finally, Warren Green struck upon a plan which brought some identifications. He ordered jailed men to be brought to the circus grounds that evening, where deputies and police were attempting to simulate conditions of the evening of June the 14th. The weather approximated that June night, with temperatures tipping 80 degrees and gentle westerly breezes swept the lilac ambrosia over much of West Duluth. It was an evening for gardening, and in the quiet residential neighborhoods, men in shirt sleeves sprayed water over their lawns and rose bushes. There was a small crowd gathered at the nearby athletic park where the Duluth Clyde's baseball team hosted visiting Eveleth, Eveleth. Within earshot of the baseball game, 13 prisoners in the clothes they wore on June 14th were standing on the old circus grounds at 9 p.m. Deputies then led James Sullivan and his father out to face the suspects. Max Mason, clad in a brown suit and cap, was told to step forward from the lineup and state his name. Then Green asked him if he owned a pistol, and Mason replied, "No, sir." He was next ordered to back up a few steps, and he stood off about 6 feet. He was told to remove his cap and then his coat, and finally was told to turn around before being ordered to face the front. Green hoped the sound of the suspects' voices might lead to identification, and he had instructed the young Sullivan to try and remember how the blacks sounded. Remember their voice. And to recall their general size and physique. Green then asked Mason how old he was. 21 years, sir, Mason said. His response coming in a slow, thick drawl that would be ridiculed in the Duluth papers. Max, where's your hometown? Lived in Decatur, Alabama. Any relatives? Got a sister in Lee, Alabama. Got a sister in Layton, Alabama. Green looked at Sullivan and the young man nodded and quietly stated he thought Mason was the man with the gun. Green was relieved at the breakthrough and was further hardened when 10 minutes later, Sullivan also identified William Miller as an accomplice. The next evening at about the same time, Green repeated the lineup in front of Irene Tuscan. And once more, Mason and Miller were identified. What was never clear, however, was whether or not Sullivan and Miss Tuscan had the opportunity to discuss the men Sullivan identified prior to Miss Tuscan's own attempt the following night. Irene recalled that the man with the gun was quite short, and Mason at 5 feet 4 inches was the shortest of those in police custody. He was not, however, the shortest black employed by the circus. Armed with what he perceived as facts now, Green was ready to begin trial preparations, but more than identification would be necessary, especially if that identification came nearly a month after the alleged assault. A prevailing attitude among white Northerners was that the Southern Negro was persecuted in Dixie with some justification. It was taken as a matter of course that the black was immoral, and Green ordered each male prisoner to undergo an examination for venereal disease. He also assigned Dr. William A. Coventry to examine Irene Tuscan, who was found to have an advanced case of gonorrhea, likely contracted at least several months before the alleged assault. On July the 12th, the prisoners were removed from their cells and individually brought before the grand jury. They were neither told they were being brought before the investigative body nor advised of their rights to refuse to testify. No attorney was present, and indeed, none had been engaged to defend the prisoners. In its benevolence, the grand jury informed those in custody that it simply wished to get at the truth. Those who had done nothing wrong had nothing to fear. Justice would be done, but as long as prisoners continued to maintain silence in the face of overwhelming evidence, the truth could not quickly be determined. What overwhelming evidence? The implication, they still trying to get them to lie on themselves. The implication was strong that until the truth was revealed, the men would remain jailed. During the late afternoon hours, the grand jury issued its finding, which did not deal at great length with the alleged assault. Instead, it found Murnian unfit for his job as public safety commissioner. His lack of action on June the 15th has disgraced the police force and placed the foulest blot on the city ever known in its history, the report charged. It also blasted Sergeant Olson. Despite his almost single-handed efforts to quell the mob, the report claimed his action or lack of it was open to severe criticism. The report summarized that the conduct of both men was most unbecoming, and the trust placed in them had been flagrantly violated. The jury found that no plan to handle the police or to repel an attack was decided upon beyond the use of water. Had the officer in charge issued rifles and bayonets and given the proper order, the mob would never have congregated and the Negroes would never have been murdered. But the grand jury's work opened up new criticisms. The Duluth Labor World, in its Saturday, July the 16th editorial, claimed thousands support Murnian. The paper distributed to labor union members maintained that since the grand jury was comprised entirely of moneyed interests in the city, it based its attack on Murnian on political grounds. There was not a shot heard, the weekly commented. And if he had ordered police to shoot, these enemies would be after him with a vengeance. The criticism of Sergeant Oscar Olson was particularly bitter to the officer who made forceful efforts to muster police to act within the restraint of Murnian's orders not to shoot. But General Rhino's investigation completely exonerated Olson while seconding the condemnation of Murney. Rhino's report revealed Duluth's police force numbered 94 persons, including officers, but only 49 were available for patrol duty, scattered over 3 shifts at 4 stations throughout the city, and the report concluded, since Commissioner Murney has served as Commissioner of Public Safety, he has taken no active step toward inaugurating the proper discipline and the functioning of the police force. Of all the ranking officers, only one, Sergeant Olson, was fully cognizant of the significance of his oath of office. He should be commended for having exercised an honest endeavor to perform his duty. Sergeant Olson made a valiant effort to disperse the mob in its early formation and prevent the lynching. Had his fellow officers been imbued with the proper instinct of discipline, the orders issued by Sergeant Olson would have unquestionably been carried out, and the lynchings would doubtless have been avoided, notwithstanding the insufficient police force in Duluth. It is the opinion of the undersigned that Commander Murney erred appallingly in not requesting assistance of the sheriff or the state militia at a much earlier time than he did. He, having been present in the police station during the assembling of the mob, because he was there, having been present in the police station during the assembling of the mob and the ultimate lynching, and not having exercised the duties required of him by his oath of office, is guilty of malfeasance in office, malfeasance, and has shown a woeful lack of courage, discipline, and competency. While the general's report was not made in Duluth, other criticisms of Murney came from numerous civic groups. The commissioner, however, with assistance from Labor World editorials, weathered this crisis in his political life. He countered critics by arguing that if he had given orders to fire, the situation would have been worse. The Duluthians agreed, and on April 1921, he was returned to office by the voters. Meanwhile, Chief Murphy had maintained a low profile and had not spoken to Murney. There was no question in his mind that he was being blamed by Murney for the whole affair, and that Murney would soon find a reason for suspension and dismissal. That opportunity arose in mid-July when Murphy was indicted for liquor smuggling. Though he would eventually be acquitted of the charge, his credibility suffered, and Murney would refuse to reinstate him. Murphy sued, but the strain of the trial proved too great. He dropped the suit and left the city. On August 8th, indictments were handed down against 19 men. This is chapter 22. On August 8th, indictments were handed down against 19 men on charges ranging from rioting to first-degree murder. All 19 entered pleas of not guilty and earned release by posting bond. Similarly, none of the suspects had been arraigned yet, and all remained in the county jail. It was noteworthy, though, that all trials for indicted whites would occur long before blacks would be even formally charged. The first trial began on August the 30th with Gilbert Henry Stevenson accused of rioting. Gilbert Henry Stevenson, Stephenson. The courtroom was packed, and the city's mood was angry. One witness for the state lost his job and was evicted from his rented home because he had agreed to testify against Stevenson. He was called a traitor to his race and endured much public loathing before Green said he would investigate possible intimidation of the witness. But the trial itself moved smoothly. 4 boarders at the rooming house where Stevenson resided said that Hank was with them during the storming of the jail, though they all had observed the attack. Under cross-examination, however, all admitted they were not with Stevenson during the entire evening. Most damaging evidence came from Nate Nadelson, Natelson, himself a defendant, who agreed to turn state's evidence and identify Stevenson as a rioter. On September the 2nd, after 6 hours of deliberation, Stevenson was convicted and sentenced to not more than 5 years in prison. William Rosen's trial also began on the 30th, but it ended in a hung jury. Despite testimony from Lieutenant Barber and Jacob Nystrom identifying Rosen as a participant, the jury found itself hopelessly deadlocked after deliberating 32 hours. On September the 13th, Louis Dundino was convicted when the jury rejected the defense argument that although Dundino was driving the green truck, he was unaware that his passengers were bent on rioting. He was convicted of inciting the riot and, like Stevenson, received 5 years. The following day, John Burr, B-U-R-R, who was startled by his arrest in June, was acquitted in less than 2 hours after several people testified about his law and order activity. Forceful testimony on his behalf came from Lonnie Williams, L-O-N-E-Y. Lonnie Williams, who told the court that Burr had saved his life when the crowd demanded the men in the cell to give us boots. Also on September 13th, 19-year-old Carl Hammerberg, Hammerberg, 19-year-old Carl Hammerberg was convicted of rioting. Then Bayer, B-E-Y-E-R, Pat Bayer. Then Bayer, Pat Olson, was acquitted. And the sting seemed to go out of the trials of mob leaders. In the city, people voiced concern that some should be convicted while others, some of whose roles had been more prominent, went free. Included in this group was Leonard Hedman, H-E-D-M-A-N, who was acquitted after lengthy jury deliberation. Acting as his own witness, Hedman told the court that his remarks were misinterpreted by the police, and in fact, he made only neutral comments during the riot. Since his alleged role was one of the most active among mob members, acquittals signaled the end of trials for those arrested, and all murder charges were dropped. Duluthians found themselves uneasy about convicting men who carried out their own sympathies and felt the issue would best be forgotten. And in homes in West Duluth, talk regarding the lynching stopped, although adults occasionally whispered about justice being upset when black rapists would get a simple jail sentence for a crime worse than murder. The stage was thus set for trials of Max Mason and William Miller. Hostility surfaced anew, and security around the accused remained tight. The mood in Duluth was mixed. It was of anxiety and agitation, coupled with relief that finally the blacks would be punished by law. But among the city's blacks, the feeling was that the original crime was a frame-up, a fraud, and bitterness mounted. Justice, they believed, was for whites only. 3 men of color were brutally slain, and no one was punished for the killings. Chapter 23. Max Mason was a native of Decatur, Alabama, where he grew up, the younger of 2 children born to sharecropper parents. His former schooling consisted of 1 week in the 1st grade. Most of his early childhood was spent foraging for food or looking for odd jobs. He worked somewhat steadily on cotton plantations as a picker until his mother died in 1916. Later that year, he obtained a job in a local hotel kitchen, remaining there until the death of his father in 1917. He then left Alabama for Louisville, Kentucky. Didn't we just read racial violence in Kentucky, 1865 to 1940? My own family is from Kentucky. My daddy's family is from Kentucky. He then left Alabama for Louisville, Kentucky, and found employment as a hotel dishwasher. Through acquaintances in the hotel kitchen, he heard about the circus. The circus, he was told, offered decent jobs to black folks, and the treatment was better than in cotton fields or hot kitchens. Then circus provided meals and a bed and a chance to travel all over the country. The young man must have thought it would be nice to get around, see how things went up north, where he was told a colored man didn't have to tip his hat to white men on the streets. And there wouldn't be much chance to get lonesome either. Most of all the crews were black and the work was fine. And if you kept your nose clean, he was told, they'd take you on again next year too. And if you only had gone to school 1 week out of your life, had no family, and yearned to travel, Hitching on with the circus seemed just the thing to do. Mason joined the Robinson Show on April the 24th, 1920, my daughter's birthday, in Peru, Indiana, and worked in the cookhouse during the day and in the big top at night. He liked circus life and saw that it might be all right to stay with it. When these employees got older, if they kept a good record, they mostly waited tables, cooked, or tidied up the kitchen. Certainly a future with the circus looked promising to the young Max Mason. He had been warned that Northern cops would be rough on blacks. They could be rough on blacks. And if he was caught with a bottle of hooch, he could expect a few knocks on the head as well as a stretch in jail. So after his arrest in Virginia, Minnesota, he did not find his subsequent treatment out of the ordinary. But discussions with cellmates during his imprisonment did little to bolster his spirits. The jury would accept an absolute fact that a frail white girl was raped by niggers. After all, why would she lie about such an ordeal? Really, white folks would ask, why would she lie about such an ordeal? No matter what the niggers said, the whites reasoned, because those arrested refused to open up before the grand jury in July, they were told not to expect any leniency. Mason's only hope was that his lawyers, Ferdinand Lee Barnett Jr. from Chicago and R.C. McCullough from St. Paul, could prove that the girl lied about the rape. That was his only hope. The attorneys representing blacks were themselves black men hired by the St. Paul NAACP for $1,200. It was thought in some circles that the men would have been wiser to select white lawyers instead of nigger lawyers, as they were often called in Duluth. But most white attorneys in Duluth believed the men were guilty and probably did not wish to jeopardize their standings in the community by representing blacks accused of raping a white girl. Those consulted did say that the accused would be better off pleading guilty and throwing themselves on the mercy of the court. The only lawyers willing to gamble with the not guilty pleas were the blacks hired by the NAACP. A third attorney, Charles Scrutchin, Scrutchin, from Bemidji, Minnesota, had been retained to defend Miller. And of the three lawyers, Barnett carried the most impressive credentials. He was the oldest son of F.L. Barnett Sr., founder of the Conservator, the first black newspaper in Chicago. His stepmother was noted Negro rights activist Ida B. Wells. There he said it right there. Yeah, Charles Scrutchin from Bemidji, Minnesota, had been retained to defend Miller. And of the three lawyers, Barnett carried the most impressive credentials. And Ida B. Wells was his stepmother. Yep. His stepmother was noted Negro rights activist Ida Wells. Barnett Jr. had served as an assistant county attorney for Cook County, Illinois, and earned respect in legal circles. Mason was repeatedly assured how fortunate he was to have a lawyer of Mr. Barnett's reputation. And we know just by his mama, just by Ida B. Wells. While Warren Green had all along hoped for confessions that would clear the air, they did not develop, and there were many Duluthans who believed that it was the black lawyers who confused the men and kept them from confessing. If the blacks listened to the smart aleck lawyers, they would be sorry for it, felt many white citizens. Still, Green had reason for suspicion too. He may have thought that the stories of Jimmy Sullivan and Irene Tuscan lacked credibility and might be cracked by an aggressive defense, which in turn could free the blacks. And that would all but seal Green's fate as far as being able to capture a seat on the district court bench. He determined to press hard for convictions, just as he had struggled to convict whites from the mob. However, his handling of both the whites and the blacks made him an anathema, anathema, anathema to St. Louis County voters, who overwhelmingly rejected him in the November balloting. Magny, whom Green had easily outdistanced in the April primary, defeated Green by over 5,000 votes. After Dr. Coventry's examination on July the 17th had revealed Irene Tuscan's infection, because she had gonorrhea, Green had ordered all the prisoners examined, and Dr. M.A. Nicholson of Duluth was assigned to carry out Green's edit. Edgy from confinement, irritated because they had not been formally charged with any crime, several of the men balked at the doctor's request that they submit to test for venereal disease. Nicholson tried to reassure them by saying if they were clean, they had nothing to worry about. But it was a jailer who sneered, "If you don't cooperate, we'll toss you in the dungeon and put you on bread and water," and intimidated the prisoners into cooperation. Though no evidence of conclusion exists in this matter, the circumstances surrounding the examination and the report from Dr. Nicholson that Max Mason also had an advanced case of the disease became highly suspect. Mason himself protested vigorously that he did not have a dose, although he did admit contracting gonorrhea over a year earlier in Louisville. But he insisted he had been cured. He would maintain this throughout the trial. The medical report, however, said that Mason was infected. Probably based on this evidence, it was decided that Mason would be tried first. One juror, a prominent banker, seriously considered approaching Mason and telling him that he would use his influence to arrange a short sentence if Mason would only cooperate. He intimated that he might even help Mason find a job upon his release from prison. The talk circulating around Duluth at that time was that no jury could acquit a man who had to get those outside. That no jury could acquit a man who had to get those outside nigger lawyers to defend himself. They were only asking for trouble. Ooh, we getting there. We on chapter 24. I think we got like 4 or 5 chapters left. Then, as now in Duluth, November is the coolest month. Bitter northeast winds whip the city from off the lake and bring a premature frigidity. The city's trees, long since bare foliage, stand like gaunt, bony ghosts in a distant summer past, and fragile, dry leaves swirl along gutters, rustling with grit and coal dust. It was long underwear weather now. It bespoke chapped hands and cracked, bleeding lips. There was not enough snow for children sledding, but enough to serve as a forewarning of the violent gust of white and ice that would soon threaten to paralyze the town. Now in November in Duluth is an omnipresent gray. The temperature of the city in 1920 was edgy and nervous. Fall was forgotten. Pray God would keep winter tolerable, but get November over with. November the 8th, 1920. A sudden and raging storm hit Duluth with winds of 36 miles an hour. Rain turned to sleet, then snow. By morning of the 9th, the temperature had plunged to 0, and 6 inches of white blanketed the city. 6 inches! Under more normal conditions, the storm might have been something to talk about with the folks back in Alabama, but Max Mason was awaiting trial, which was now set for November the 22nd. In the meantime, he had been in jail for 5 months and 12 days, and no doctor had been sent to treat his advanced case of gonorrhea. November the 22nd broke dry and cold. The state of Minnesota versus Max Mason. Judge W.A. Kent presided. C-A-N-T, W.A. Kent. The young Mason must have been bewildered by the austere atmosphere of the courtroom, but he took some solace from his lawyers. Convinced of his own innocence, he placed great trust in these men. They were men of education who happened to be black. And who else was there to trust? Who else was there to trust? Like today, who else can we trust? But his defense would prove woefully inept. Communication between the Twin Cities chapter of the NAACP, which hired both the employers' detective service and the attorneys, was sadly lacking. There's no evidence suggesting that any of the attorneys of the attorneys saw Morgan's report, which pointed to inconsistencies between statements Irene Tuscan gave police and the statements she gave him. Neither were there any indication that attorneys knew that Dr. Graham said he didn't believe the girl had been raped. Damn. Further, it was apparent from the beginning that both Mason's lawyers sought to mollify the white jurors by not appearing overly aggressive or insulting. They did not even insinuate that Irene Tuscan may have been lying. They based the defense on the premise that while the girl had probably been assaulted, Max Mason had not been a participant. Still, the case for Mason seemed to go well at first. Barnett managed to bring out discrepancies in the testimonies of police officers who were asked to identify Mason in court. One thought Mason was one of 4 men brought down from Virginia by Chief Murphy, while another believed he was one of the original 6 held in the jail. Both of them were wrong, Barnett pointed out. Mason came down on the train from Virginia the following day. Also, Barnett argued Mason wasn't even identified until nearly a month after the alleged attack took place. Irene Tuscan and James Sullivan, Jimmy, both took the stand and gave accounts of what happened the night of June 14th. But neither was rigidly cross-examined. Defense lawyers simply requested restatements of their testimonies and throughout appeared to handle the two with a distant gentility, not willing to probe and dig, not willing or perhaps not able to go the full distance in an effort to secure a victory for their client. McCullough and Barnett were perhaps filling out a sensitive jury, a jury that surely believed beyond a doubt that the girl had been assaulted. Perhaps the jury might have thought the rape did not happen precisely as stated by the witnesses, but it did take place. It must have. Why else would there have been all this furor and horror of the lynchings? Dr. Graham was also called as a state witness, but was not especially helpful, though his statement was not as forthright as it had been when he spoke to Morgan. Evidence of assault was inconclusive, he said. I cannot say for sure whether or not she was raped. Incredibly, the defense did not press Graham for clarification or elaboration, but allowed the statement to stand. Then Prosecutor Green called Dr. Coventry, who related finding Miss Tuscan infected with gonorrhea. The girl, who said she first noticed the infection 10 days to 2 weeks after the assault on June 14th, later told the court she noticed the infection about 3 days before. 3 days before the doctor came to examine her on June 14th. Dr. Coventry, under cross-examination, said the infection should have followed in 1 to 10 days after contact. Cross-examining Irene Tuscan, McCullough asked, "Did you tell your mother about the infection?" "No," she replied. McCullough emphasized that Miss Tuscan did not contact a physician on her own. She was examined by Dr. Coventry at the request of the prosecuting attorney. The state weakened slightly, called Dr. Nicholson for the trump card. The doctor told the jury that in his examination of all prisoners, only Mason was found to be infected with gonorrhea, and this was precisely what the jurors had waited for. One juror later admitted it was the gonorrhea thing that clinched it. Another testimony from Irene and Jimmy might have been all those loose ends, but here was concrete proof the jury could use to vote a conviction and assuage any twinges of conscience that might have otherwise lingered. Now that they're looking for reasons so they can make the lynchings okay. Other than finding a reason, they weren't going to have no conscience. They couldn't do it. Finally, Mason testified in his own behalf, taking exception to Dr. Nixon. "I don't have no gonorrhea," he said, claiming that if the girl had been raped, he had nothing to do with it. He said he was actively loading empty seats into boxcars at the time of the alleged assault. His story was corroborated by Lonnie Williams, but the damage had been done. The expert testimony of a literate white man more than offset the denial of that evidence by an illiterate black man. Friday, November 26, 1920. In his closing argument, Warren Green told the jury that this case was the most important he ever brought into court. Why do we have mobs, he asked. Is it because people think the Negroes won't be convicted? That's why they take the law into their own hands? People of Duluth and St. Louis County want to know through your verdict that when a white girl is ravaged by a black or white man and the man is proven guilty, as in this case, the man is going to be found guilty. Barnett, summing up for the defense, argued that the state had hopefully failed to present its case against Mason. He scored Sullivan for the attitude he claimed to have taken. Anglo-Saxon blood never permits attacks upon its women without a protest. Something might have happened on the circus grounds that night. Perhaps the girl's ring might have been taken or stolen, or the boy's watch taken. But the offense charted in this indictment was not committed by this defendant. Barnett drew an angry reaction from Green by insinuating that he had schooled witnesses for the prosecution by having Sullivan and Miss Tuscan identify defendants by physical shape and their stride. Is it fair to send a man to the penitentiary on that identification? I don't ask any favors for a black man, only justice. The law says that nobody shall be convicted on his own evidence. The law has been shamefully abused in this case. The men were compelled to testify against themselves before the grand jury without being warned. It was late Friday night when the jury received the instruction from Judge Kant, but the jurors were allowed to go home for the night and begin deliberations in the morning. 9:51 a.m., Saturday, November the 27th, 1920. Jury discussion began with an air of uneasiness. True, Sullivan had been examined by Dr. Coventry as well, and he was found to be clean. Still, rumors persisted concerning the character of the boy, and the girl too for that matter. But whatever, the girl has suffered enough already. 3:25 p.m. Saturday, November 27, 1920. The jury returned a guilty verdict, and Duluthians heaved a collective sigh of relief. At last, the nasty business was over. The proof was in. The blacks raped the girl. Just like that. A lie told just like that. Believed just like that. Monday, November 29, 1920. Mason, facing Judge Kent for sentencing, insisted once more that he was not diseased and asked to be examined by a court-appointed physician. He pointed out that he had not been treated by a doctor during more than 5 months since his arrest, except when he was checked after complaining of a cold. And again, he repeated, "I didn't do it. I'm not guilty." His request for an impartial physical examination was denied, and he was sentenced to 30 years at the state prison in Stillwater. Wow, Irene. Wow, Duluthians. Hope y'all feel good about yourself. Even today, allegedly 2025. I hope y'all feel good about yourself. I hope you ain't sleeping a wink at night, white folks. I hope you feel everything that this shift is bringing. I hope you feel it coming back on y'all asses. Chapter 25. Tuesday, November the 30th, 1920. The state of Minnesota versus William Miller. Judge William Kent presided. Snow, which had fallen early in the month, had been swept away by winds and moderating temperatures. But the day was typically November, gray, cloudy, and cold. Most Duluthians had been satisfied by Mason's conviction. The girl had been raped, and at least one man would go to prison. There was little furor with Miller's trial, consequently, and the courtroom was comparatively spare of spectators. Little is known about Miller, except that he lived in Cincinnati, Ohio with his sister. It was obvious that Mason's conviction upset Miller, and when he appeared in court, he looked weak and drawn, a sharp contrast to the man defending him. Charles Scrutchin was notably relaxed, almost arrogant. He had been deeply bothered by the inept defense of Max Mason, and gauging the attitude of the jurors, Scrutchen believed Mason could have earned acquittal. What was lacking there was a vigorous, forceful attack on the testimonies of state witnesses, especially Irene Tuscan motherfucking ass. Scrutchen also believed that Mason's lawyers did not press the case along racial lines. Would the jury be so quick to convict a white man for assaulting a black girl? At the same time, Scrutchen knew he must proceed with a certain degree of caution. Yet caution was not one of Charlie Scrutchen's prominent traits. He was married to a white woman and practiced law in Bemidji, Minnesota. At the time of his arrival in that city in 1904, there was only one other black family in residence. Because of his mixed marriage, Scrutchen would have little social life in the community during his years of practice there. If prejudice existed in the city, however, it was often overlooked by persons seeking legal assistance, and Scrutchen developed a successful practice among working people in Bemidji. Folks there frequently allowed that the colored lawyer is one smart man. Possessing a quick and nimble mind, he was frequently labeled brilliant by his peers. A white man with his credentials would have undoubtedly gone far in legal circles at that time. However, Scrutchen was not a great favorite among some Minnesota blacks. He had built something of a reputation defending white people who were taken to court for grievances by black people. The concept of a black lawyer defending a white man against another black man made profound impressions on white juries, and no doubt earned Scrutchen tidy fees as he won case after case. Scrutchen must have known what his reputation was among some area blacks. Few, however, could dispute his legal skills. And when push came to shove, Scrutchen was first of all a Negro who had also felt the sting of prejudice and racial abuse. He was proud to offer his services to the NAACP in a case representing such a gross miscarriage of justice. He had probably angered Barnett, chiding him for his kid gloves approach to Mason's jury and state witnesses. It was a tragic mistake, he noted, and would not be repeated in Miller's trial. If he were to lose this, he would lose fighting. And Charlie Scrutchen was a tough, relentless infighter. He would not be easily defeated. Scrutchen openly doubted that the rape took place at all. And on Tuesday, during his cross-examination of Dr. Graham, he made certain the jury was aware of that. Assuming the girl's story is true and that she had fainted at the time the assault took place, would not an attack by 6 Negroes upon the girl have left physical evidence of tears or lacerations? He asked. Graham responded, I do not think I would have found her in a normal condition the next morning. Attempting to blunt his damaging testimony, Green called in Doctors S.H. Boyer and A.K. McDonald. Both testified that it would have been possible for the assault to have occurred without noticeable evidence. Yeah, right. 6 men on one woman, a pale, frail white girl. 6 men working at the carnival. You know they got to be strong. They got to be stout. But Scrutchen continued the attack, forcing the doctors to admit they had no first-hand knowledge of any similar case. His voice rising, he asked Dr. Boyer, have you never had any experience embracing all these elements? Have you, doctor? No, he said, no, I got that wrong. You have never had any experience embracing all these elements, have you, doctor? No, said Dr. Boyer. Both sides concluded arguments on Tuesday. Green, sensing the weakness in his case, made an emotional passion summation for the state. Testimony in this case is undisputed that she was a virgin. Undisputed? God knows she has suffered enough already without having a jury say to her that she is not only a liar, but she contracted the disease communicated to her by Mason from some other person. Are you going to say to her, what are you going to say to her with your verdict? Are you going to brand her as a falsifier and a prostitute? Scrutchen calmly asked the jury to lay aside natural prejudice of a white man against a black man. If this boy on trial was a white boy and the complaining witness a colored girl, there would be no occasion for me to argue this case before you. Prejudice? Certainly there is prejudice. We know there is prejudice. This defendant knows that his race is hatred, that his race is hated, and that his color is a crime. No matter how fair you gentlemen of the jury may be, if you return a verdict of guilty, there will always be a lingering suspicion in his mind that he was not given a fair chance because he was black. Still, I believe that you are going to be fair in this case, that there is still a little spark of justice burning, and you will give this boy the presumption of innocence the law says he is. Deliberately, Scrutchen approached the jury box and stared at the members. If this girl was ravished as she claimed to have been ravished, she would have been taken to a morgue instead of to her home. Thursday, December the 2nd, was sunny and cold. Downtown merchants were thinking the bright weather would start the annual trek of Christmas shoppers into the stores. Superior Street traffic was punctuated by the tinkling bells of Salvation Army ringers. I'm sorry, y'all. And in his cell, William Miller wept and told Scrutchen he wanted to go home for Christmas. He would get his wish. After a 6-hour deliberation, the jury found Miller not guilty. The jubilant young man embraced Scrutchen and told reporters, I'm going back to Cincinnati where my sister keeps house for me. I've got about $200 back pay. I've got about $200 back pay coming from the circus. With this acquittal, Judge Kent dismissed charges against 5 other blacks, and Green abandoned prosecution of the rest. Strongest evidence pointed toward Mason and Miller, while evidence against the other men was largely speculative. Meanwhile, Max Mason, increasingly aware that his conviction rested entirely on Dr. Nicholson's testimony, looked more hopeful toward the appeal which might free him, especially since Miller's acquittal. He continued his claim that he was free of gonorrhea and had not been treated for the disease since his June 15th arrest. But his appeal was denied. Chapter 26. Friday, December 10th, 1920. The infamy was ended, and many were trying to forget it ever happened. There was a Christmas season to look forward to now, and the kids would be out of school in a week or so. There was enough snow for the season, and the city was pretty at night with the sprinkling of Christmas lights lining Superior Street like they ain't just slaughtered 3 innocent black men and wanted the rest of them. Like they ain't just tried to railroad the rest of them. On a lie. All of those that hid that information, them facts, that had nothing happened to Irene. All of them that hid the fact that it wasn't no rape. Her mama, the doctors, the judge, every last one of them. You still guilty, your ass still guilty. I don't care if you is dead and gone. Your ass is still guilty. I don't forgive none of them. I sure don't. Where's they families at? Why they families ain't made no atonement for this? Well, you must now. Tuskins, your grandmama, your great-grandmama, whoever Irene was to you, you supposed to be making this right. All of y'all. Go find your people that did this shit. Go find they people then. And make this right. You make this, y'all better get your asses out there and make it right. Duluthians, Minnesotans. Y'all did this shit. Y'all asses waited a whole year after all the massacres in 1919. So y'all asses could get a taste of it. How did y'all come up with it? What made y'all want to be like everybody else? And now all of a sudden you're so Minnesota nice, ain't you? You're some motherfucking liars. That's what you are. You need to be exposed for what you've done, Minnesotans. Minnesota nice, for real? For real. Y'all still trying to keep this secret? Y'all in Duluth especially, right there on Superior Street, you started Christmas just like that. Went right on with business as usual. Try to forget about it. Let's not talk about it. Po Irene. Po Irene. Oh, lying ass Irene. Let's read. West End and West Duluth residents of Italian, Serbian, Serbian, and Slavic descents tested the wines made for the holidays. Prohibition or not, a man could drink some wine with his friends, and there wasn't anything the law could do about it. Across the frozen St. Louis River Bay in Superior, certain men from Duluth sat in small speakeasies. Their day's labor completed at the steel plant or the railroad. They would pour down a slug of Canadian whiskey and look past each other, their eyes red from wind and whiskey. Their laughter would be strained and forced. The normally jovial greeting of Merry Christmas to their fellows sounded somehow empty and hollow. And such men would acknowledge each other with furtive nods, meaningless claps on the back. They felt in their guts that what they did was right, but they still needed to exercise exorcist. EXORCISE, like the exorcist. They still need to exorcise the shreds of guilt. Occasionally, someone may have muttered that it would be a long time before niggers tried anything with white women in Minnesota again. Except for this small knot of hardliners, there was little talk of the lynchings. Duluth was a city ashamed. It wanted to forget. Christmas Eve, 1920, Max Mason was still in the Duluth jail. Down the hall, some prisoners were eating their evening meal. Mason was not hungry. He had no visitors. Neither did he have gonorrhea. He didn't. The epilogue. Oh, whoa. We're done. This here's just the epilogue. Yep, this here's just the epilogue. And it ain't but 5-6 pages. Let's finish it. The epilogue, January 11th, 1921. Max Mason was brought to Stillwater State Prison. 2 weeks before Dundino and Stevenson were committed to the institution, having exhausted their appeals. Hammerberg was sent to the state reformatory at St. Cloud. November 1922. Mason's case was appealed to the Minnesota Supreme Court, but the conviction was sustained. One argument in support of the conviction noted that it was common knowledge that among Northern whites, the identification of Southern blacks was difficult. But the fact that Mason was identified by both James Sullivan, Jimmy, and Irene Tuscan gave credence to the conviction. Justice Homer B. Dibble, Dibbel, filing the minority opinion, referred to Dr. Graham's examination of the girl, which concluded a normal condition was present. Dibble wrote, there was perhaps a possibility that 6 Negroes committed the crime just as charged. Convictions are not rested on possibilities. The story in its entirety is unusual and strikingly improbable. Noting the conviction largely was based on the gonorrhea issue, Dibble stated that to convict Mason on that evidence was to imply that every infected man in Duluth, white or black, the night of June 15, 1920, was also guilty of the rape. March 1923. Louis Dundino and Henry Stevenson were paroled 2 years and 2 months after entering prison. February 1925, in an almost unprecedented move, the parole board released Mason. Rape conviction meant a minimum of 12 years in Minnesota. Mason served only 4. And blacks convicted of assaulting whites could be expected to serve nearly a full 30-year sentence. The mysterious and unusual action of the board may never be determined. In Duluth itself, at the time of this writing, few files were maintained on the lynchings. The St. Louis County Historical Society, in an attempt to discourage research into the unseemly, carried virtually no information at all on the episode. Wow. Then y'all, that's Minnesota. Yet other mysteries remain. Among Duluth blacks with a strong oral history tradition, it is reported that at least 3 of the white men involved in mob activities themselves met with violent and unsolved deaths. One report states that 2 bodies were recovered in a refrigerated railroad car about 2 years after the lynchings, while a third body was found in a roadside ditch. And they served their motherfucking asses right. While older blacks insist these stories are true, apparently no one remembers the name of the victims or where the bodies were found. This aspect, then, must remain speculative, for records in St. Louis County through 1925 do not indicate unnatural deaths for any of those involved with the mob. Meanwhile, according to many Duluth blacks, the housing restrictions, which had previously been unspoken and somewhat inconsistent, became absolute. It became difficult for Duluth blacks to obtain homes in traditional residential areas until the 1960s. The situation in education also became critical. Though black students were allowed to enroll at Duluth State Teachers College, they were not permitted to practice teach in the Duluth public schools. Since this preparation was mandated by the state, the effect of this unwritten prohibition was to deny black teachers the opportunity to become certified teachers in Duluth. At the time of the lynchings in the city, about 18 employees in the U.S. Post Office were blacks of long-standing tenure. According to a former NAACP president in Duluth, no new black workers were hired by the local postal service until the 1960s. 40 fucking years for some shit y'all asses did and you knew about it. Yeah, we need just going to cut our ties with white folks. Hey. Among the principals involved in this story, Irene Tuscan married and became a housewife in Superior, Wisconsin, never to discuss any aspect of this case with reporters. Her motherfucking ass died in 1995. James Sullivan, too, Jimmy, attempted to find himself in the normal mainstream of life in Duluth. How he stayed. However, friends and acquaintances observed a marked personality change after the lynchings. A priest who knew James described him as almost quiet, retiring. A man who remembered playing basketball against him said the old flamboyance was gone in later years and that he lost the self-assuredness that marked his teenage years. That's because that guilt was eating his ass up. That hatred, that guilt. I hope everybody came back and seen his ass. Elmer, Elias, and Isaac. After his re-election to office in 1921, Public Safety Commissioner William Murnian saw the lynching incident surface again in 1923 when he sought his third term. The Duluthians apparently had reflected on the tragedy and wished the incident could be forgotten. Oh, can we just forget it? Murnian was the last vestige of that horror. And though other commissioners strongly urged his re-election, he was soundly defeated in April 1923 and never returned to public office in the city. Sergeant Oscar Olson, who absorbed considerate heat locally in the aftermath of the lynchings, but who had bravely upheld his oath of office, stayed on to become chief of police, which for years in Duluth was a position appointed by the mayor and the commissioners. When a new mayor was elected in 1938, Olson became chief of detectives. In 1941, while attempting to make an arrest, he was shot and killed by the suspect. Police officers Fiskett and Barber continued on the force, and so did sons of the men. Other officers still enjoyed community support and remained with the force also. The Duluthians believed that since the hands of policemen were tied, they could not be held accountable for the lynchings. Eddie Nichols remained in Duluth for about 30 years after the lynchings, and he helped the city overcome racial prejudices. A founder and officer of the local NAACP, Nichols operated his own catering business in the city until retiring to reside in St. Paul. Eddie Nichols. W.F. Rodney, who owned the home in which Nichols lived at the time of the lynching, would later have an ironic brush with attorney Charles Scrutchins. Scrutchins, who returned to private practice in Bemidji, continued to occasionally represent white clients in cases against blacks. Rodney, who was seeking a grievance against a white, sought a skillful scrutching win for the defendant. Warren E. Green, the prosecuting attorney who lost his bid for a seat on the district bench, left Duluth in 1928 because of declining health. He died in Washington, Connecticut in June 1937. Louis Dundino, the driver of the truck that patrolled West Duluth streets, encouraging cities to join the necktie party, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for rioting, but his ass only served 2 years. He moved to Washington State, where a family remembered his forging a close friendship with a black man. You see how you got to be careful, Black America. Let me read that one more time. Louis Dundino, the driver of the truck that patrolled West Duluth streets, encouraging cities to come on, join the necktie party. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for rioting, but only served 2 years. Then he was free. So his ass moved to Washington State, where family remembered his forging a close friendship with a black man. Years later, his great-grandson, Warren Reed, R-E-A-D, Warren Reed, was tracing his family's genealogy and discovered that his relative had participated in a lynching in Duluth and was convicted of rioting. Reed subsequently read an earlier edition of this book and continued tracing his genealogy. But with the aid of the internet, he also located cousins of Elmer Jackson, one of the lynch victims. The process of discovery led Reed to write a powerful and moving memoir, The Lyncher in Me, a search for redemption in the face of history, which was published by Borelius Books in 2008. We're going to get that. When the Clayton Jackson McGee Memorial was dedicated in Duluth, he addressed the crowd there and apologized for his forebear's participation in the hangings. Of all the men involved in mob activity, the most noted was Leonard Hedman. At the time of his arrest and trial, he was supposedly planning to attend law school. This ambition was not realized, however, and Hedman left Duluth to become a resort owner and operator. Other principals in the mob, as far as can be determined, experienced genuine shame at the happening, and many went on to lead exemplary lives, becoming involved with various civic and youth programs throughout the city. None would discuss the lynchings ever again, and to this day, descendants express surprise that their relatives ever were involved in the tragedy. Fred W. Beecher, the National Guard officer who figured significantly in mopping up operations, remained in the Guard until 1929. However, his work during the lynching incident was of no consequence in his military career, and at the time of his discharge, he was still a major. J.A.A. Burnquist, governor of the state, spent the next 19 years in private law practice before returning to public life. In 1939, he was elected state attorney general and served in that post until 1955. The final ignominy, I-G-N-O-M-I-N-Y, ignominy, was the location of the burial sites of Isaac McGee, Elmer Jackson, and Elias Clayton. For more than 70 years following the lynchings, it was believed that the three lay in unmarked graves in a potter's field near the Duluth Cook home, a residence for the indigent, I-N-D-I-G-E-N-T. However, the bodies of the victims had been taken to Park Hill Cemetery, owned at the time by a local Lutheran church. Oh, I want to find it. I want to go see this Park Hill Cemetery. If I get there, y'all, and I see it, I'm going to have something to go live because we're going to go see their... We're going to go see their graves. Yep. However, the bodies of the victim have been taken to Park Hill Cemetery. I just got to find out where Park Hill Cemetery is. Owned at the time by a local Lutheran church, the graves of the men remain unmarked until 1991. The rationale for not designating those burial sites seems clear. To have done so in June 1920 would possibly have led to desecration of the graves. Feeling about the lynching and its aftermath ran high in Duluth following the hangings. That's because they ass knew they had done wrong, and they just swore and to themselves, probably individually, that they would never do nothing like that. But you already done did it. You did it. It's on you now. It's forever on you. I'll never let you forget. I won't. City leaders likely believe that secret burial and unmarked plots would prevent such acts of vandalism. And given the temper of those unfortunate times, perhaps such a rationale is understandable. To white folks, maybe. Today, however, the bodies of the three men, no longer forgotten, rest in commemorated graves. Just 3 miles from the street corner where that enraged mob exacted its twisted justice, new markers honor the memories of Isaac McGee, Elmer Jackson, and Elias Clay. But the grave markings don't end the story. In the year 2000, a group of concerned Duluthans formed the Clay Jackson McGee Committee. Upward of 100 citizens, including students, teachers, police officers, religious and political leaders, social workers, laborers, musicians, and others, determined to place plaques commemorating the atrocity at the old city jail and lynching scene. The committee commissioned a sculpture for a small park across the street from the lynch site, and the incident was adopted into the curricular in Duluth schools and elsewhere in Minnesota and Wisconsin. The community hosts annual vigils featuring guest speakers, poems, music, and marches at the scene of the lynchings on June the 15th. In addition, the Minnesota Historical Society has microfilmed a special collection of related materials, trial transcripts, and other documents pertaining to the lynchings in order to make them more available to students and scholars. The healing has begun. No. That didn't make the healing begin. No, it didn't. All these people coming and stuff, that didn't make the healing begin. Oh, no. That was for y'all asses. That was to help white America ease their guilt some more. See, everybody coming there showing up and stuff on the celebrations and stuff. It sounds good. It sounds good, make you feel good, make you feel like that healing did begin. But no, that wasn't no healing. That was a Band-Aid. That's exactly what that was, a Band-Aid. Right here to this day. And I ripped it off. I just ripped it off. I'm going to sit there and tell us that's the healing. That's the healing. The healing has begun. No, it ain't. You don't tell us how we get to heal. Now, them were my brothers. Me and my sisters give birth to black men. You don't sit there and tell us when the healing began, just because you got some that's there and that's understanding of you and forgiving of you. That's the problem right there. We let white America think that we forgive everything. And as long as, hey, some of us forgive it and stuff, and then the rest of the white folks come along and stuff, and they all happy with it. That's just what we wanted them to do. Just let us forgive it. Just forgive it and let us just go on. And can we all get along? Well, no, I don't. I sure don't. Western Union Telegram. What is this here? See, y'all? Yeah, we reading everything. We reading that. We finna know just exactly who the fuck y'all asses is. Received at 332 Robert Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. Honorable J.A. Burnquist, 1980 something is kind of faded out. And over here's got June 17, 1920. Yeah. State Capitol is using one of them stamp things. State Capitol, St. Paul, Minnesota. Press dispatches of today state that special grand jury at Duluth ordered by judges 11th district is asked especially to return indictments against several of 14 Negroes held for assault on white girl last Monday. If Negroes are found guilty after impartial hearing, they should be indicted, but it is more important to arrest, indict, and convict lynchers who broke not one law alone, but flouted all law. Will you? Oh, okay. It's to be continued down here. Will you not use your influence to secure search and investigation and vigorous prosecution of lynchers who have disgraced America? Whoa. Now it was two. Honorable J. A. Burnquist, State Capitol, St. Paul, Minnesota. I just read all that. And then it said, but flouted all law, will you not use your influence to secure search and investigation and vigorous prosecution of lynchers who have disgraced Minnesota? James Weldon Johnson, Field Secretary, National Association Advancement for Colored People. And he was asking the judge and stuff, will he not use all of his influence to secure, the prosecution of those damn lynchers? Questioning of Irene Tuscan by private investigators. And we read that in the story right here, but it just went on about some more. Yeah, just some more about the questionings and stuff. But we did it. Tomorrow night, we're going to finish the questions. Yep, and then at the back of it, it's got suggestions for further readings. We got history of lynchings, legacy of violence, lynch mobs and executions in Minnesota at the hands of persons unknown, the lynching of Black America, Duluth lynchings, another one. Ida B. Wells, Southern Horrors, lynch law in all its phases, New York, the New York Age print, 1892. Racial violence in America. Oh, no, we got racial violence in the United States. Yeah. I'm going to write these books down, too. Systematic oppression. And that right there was under, all those are under history of lynchings. This right here is systematic oppression. Michelle Alexander, The New Jim Crow. Do we got that book? I don't think I still got it. Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. Then we got the Ku Klux Klan in Minnesota by Elizabeth Dorsey Hadle, Hatle. Or Hadley. Yeah. Wow. Then we got We Charge Genocide, the crime of government against the Negro people. That's by William L. Patterson, New York Civil Rights Congress, 1951. Then there's Black Enslavement, Labor, and Migration. And they got some good books. The Warmth of Other Suns, the epic story of America's Great Migration. Yeah, we're going to finish this tomorrow. Oh, Race Construction and Anti-Blackness. James Baldwin, Fire Next Time. New York, First Vintage International, 1993. Then it's got Angela Davis' book in here, Women, Race, and Class. Just some suggestions. Oh, we did it. I sure thank y'all. We're going to finish this last little bit. We're going to finish the questioning of Irene tomorrow, her motherfucking ass. And I can't say we're going to start another book right away and stuff, for Midnight with the Ancestors. Maybe we're just talking, talk to each other and stuff and see how we doing. Because we are making some progress. Yeah, we're doing it though. I don't know what to say about it. It's bittersweet. It's kind of challenging, very emotional and difficult and stuff. But hey, we doing it. We're doing what we must do. Now the healing has begun. They don't get to say when our healing has begun. But I thank you so much. Why are you reading this stuff, living in the victim Olympics? Oh, honey, don't bring your motherfucking ass up in here, Charles Bronson. Now, who the fuck sent your goddamn ass? Why you got to bring... Charles Bronson, I hope your ass still there. Why you got to bring your punk ass over here now? Why the fuck you got to bring your sorry... I don't even know who you are. You could be a bot. You could be a bot, but you're useless. Take your sorry, tired ass somewhere else. What you doing it to? You going around to people, different platforms, see what folks is doing, because your sorry ass ain't helping nobody do nothing. Charles Bronson, you ain't doing shit. So get your punk ass off of my motherfucking platform. Take your scary ass somewhere else. Go where you want it. Go where you need it. Before I stick my ancestors on your ass. Before I tell my ancestors that your motherfucking ass, now you gonna step your ass up in their business. Because you don't want it to be known. Charles Bronson. That's your name, ain't it? That's what you're doing. I know it, Aura, but I'll cuss all they motherfucking asses out because I don't give a fuck how none of them feel. See, that's the problem right there. They think as long as they say something, we'll just, okay, yeah, let's just tone it down. I ain't toning down a motherfucking thing. Their asses is guilty. I hope the ancestors come and wipe all they motherfucking ass. Smite all of y'all motherfuckers, as far as I'm concerned, because this is not going to be hushed no more. I'm not going to stop reading it. I'm not going to stop telling it. All y'all motherfuckers, put your goddamn pictures on your motherfucking profiles. That's what you need to do. And this ain't my energy. Oh, no, this ain't my energy. This is passion right here for my ancestors. Everything that has been done to my ancestors, every motherfucker, you better shut your mouth before I sew your ass up. You better shut your mouth before I sew your motherfucking ass up. Don't come on my channel. Don't you ever come on my channel. You, Charles, none of y'all motherfuckers talking about my ancestors. Don't talk about that. While you in the Victim Olympics, take your punk ass somewhere where you want it. Because you ain't want it here. Your ass will get served right here and sold the fuck up. Your mouth and your asshole. I'm done with all of y'all motherfuckers. Ain't no sugar coating shit about what you done did. Everybody, all of these souls, these bodies, these black men that you and your people, Charles Bronson, that your people hid and condoned. All of that is on you now. It's staring your ass in the face. So instead of coming over here thinking that you finna get some forgiveness and you finna bully somebody out the way, you ain't finna bully face. You not finna bully me. You ain't finna bully my ancestors no more. You sure ain't. You finna get exactly what your ass got coming. So I suggest you, Charles Bronson, get your ass on the right side. You best to get your motherfucking ass on the right side, honey, because the shit is exposed. Your shit is exposed and ain't nobody got no sugar for you. Your ass gonna get this like you need to have it. You sure will, so kiss my motherfucking ass. Yeah, I don't know who the fuck he is, but he better not bring his tired ass back over here no more. Sure ain't, because I cuss all they motherfucking asses out about my ancestors. Ain't y'all motherfuckers done had enough quietness and secrecy and hiding everything from black folks? You still got to go around from this platform to that platform to that platform to that platform and bother black people? For real? Yeah, if your ass is a human flesh and blood, put your motherfucking profile picture up there. You see me? Let me see your ass. You know, that's all I'm saying. Shit, other than that, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, because this is finna get taught. This is finna get taught. You know, just think your higher power, Charles. That ain't nobody talking about vengeance on your ass. Ain't nobody talking about taking justice into our own hands. See, because we ain't about that like y'all motherfuckers is. We just finna get the fuck away from y'all asses. You know, and I'm glad my people leaving y'all motherfuckers alone. Because when they really find out, when my people really find out what type of motherfuckers y'all ass is, where's our black Bible at? The one with the pictures in it. Our Bible got pictures in it, see? And when black people find out exactly who the fuck we dealing with, I'll be so glad. I'm going to be so glad, honey. Yes, I'm going to make a remix to my song to the ancestors, because we'll be done with y'all motherfuckers. Done with you. You won't get to eat on us no more. You won't get to corral us no more and hold us back no more. You won't get to lie on us no more and sit there and manipulate my people. Got my brothers thinking that y'all still love them when you don't. You know, I mean, all of your shit is done. It's done. The only thing I can say is you need to get on the right side too for your sorry ass ancestors, Charles, because you ain't showed your face. So I guess these right here is your sorry ass clan ancestors that's doing this bullshit. You better get your ass on the right side. You show better. Because, honey, I don't care who show themselves first. Whether it's my ancestors, whether it's, who else did I say were coming? Yeah, I'm going to tell all their asses to go. The aliens. Yeah, whether it's my ancestors or the aliens, I'm going to tell them, your ass right over there. There they right there. White people. You come here for white folks? And I advise y'all too, black people. Whatever's finna happen, it ain't here to hurt us. It's not here to hurt us. Whatever's finna happen from this shift, from the ethers and cosmic energy stirring up and shit, it's on our behalf. It's to help us. We ain't had no help. We ain't had no help. We ain't had no resources. We ain't had nothing. Now, cosmic energy is our cavalry. That's our cavalry. We need to call on it. Stop calling on a cat, that white Jesus. Stop all this religious, forgiving and stuff, and open your damn eyes. Keep your eyes on the prize. You got people like Charles and them out there. They don't want you to learn. They don't want you to teach your babies. No, they hoping that they can lull us back to sleep. They want to put us back to sleep again so they can continue on business as usual. Then when your ass wake up again in your third awakening, because Black America, you done had an awakening. This is our second awakening that I just learned about the first one. And now we're in a second awakening. They trying to put you back to sleep, Black America. When you wake up again, you're going to be in a third awakening. A third awakening with robots, flying cars. Your ass going to be trapped in smart cities and shit. Just wake up. Anybody that come in your face with this bullshit, shut their ass down. Shut their motherfucking ass down. I don't care if you got to invoke every ancestor you know and you don't know. I don't care if you got to invoke every one of our loved ones who was lynched, roasted, skinned, slaughtered, dragged down the street. You better invoke them. You better invite them in on your ass so you can get them motherfuckers up off of you. That's what you got to do. Now, I got my energy because, honey, I'm finna sing me some songs, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, honey. The ancestors chose me just like they chose you. Step into your power. Find your personal freedom so you can speak too because, yeah, can't nobody take your energy. Can't take mine either. Now, I got my energy. What I give out on behalf of my ancestors, oh, honey, they gives it all back to me, plus interest. So, see, don't be worried about their asses. Give them what the fuck they've been asking for. Cuss them motherfuckers out. Cuss their asses out. Let them know you ain't got no fear in you. I mean, shit, what I'm going to say here and tell them, no, Charles, you better get your ass on. No, I'm going to tell that motherfucker, get your punk, sorry ass the fuck on. Find somewhere you need to be. Because, see, you ain't wanted here. You can't do nothing with this. You can't do nothing with this right here. Ain't no need coming here with that shit. Don't be calling me on the phone talking about what can I do for you. You can't do a damn thing for us. The only thing your ass can do is go on over there with your people. Try to heal your people and let your people know that hell yeah, we the real Satans. We the real Satans. We need to let black people go. Let them go. Let my people go. Yeah, everybody been saying it and it's still being said. Let my people go. Move y'all asses on. I don't know who you gonna pick next to oppress, but it won't be Black America no more. It will not be Black America. We done with that shit. Yeah. Yeah, so y'all, let's just go ahead and rejuvenate ourselves. Let's rejuvenate ourselves, honey. And I will see y'all in the morning so we can open up our gift. Bam. Well, it's mine. But I did order 2 more gifts. Because I want to, I was reading about the perks and stuff, for my members and stuff. I don't know how we going to do it and stuff. So I may just have to, we'll get together somewhere, my name and stuff. I'll tell you how to find me and stuff. And I don't know, I send it to your P.O. box or something. Beats me. I don't know what kind of perks they talking about. But I'm like, no, I want you to have, some inspiration in your life. When we meeting and stuff. Yeah. And when you on your other sites, yeah, let me know too so I can get me some more inspiration. Yeah, see, they are cups. They are cups, and you'll see one of them tomorrow. They not these right here though, but I'll get some. I'm gonna have different ones and stuff because yeah, it's our time to love on us. I like the little simple stuff, you know. I don't like real expensive shit. I don't like name brand shit on me and stuff, you know. I just like little simple stuff that bring me joy, you know, and they bring me happiness and stuff. So I want to share it with y'all too. Yeah, somebody be like, wow, where you get that cup from, Lemonade? That's LYNNMONADE. I don't think she got her site up yet. I think somebody working on her site or revamping it or something. But yeah, that's where I got these cups from. And she makes beverages and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to get her to make me some beverages because I be having flame and stuff. Y'all be having flame sometimes? I don't know. I be having flame and stuff. I be like, wow, shit. I know it's been winter time, but it's different from last year having flame. And you know, I told you, I seen somebody just coughed up and flame just went. And I was like, oh, well, damn. But I'm going to get her to make me that drink. I think it's got cilantro and celery and something in it like that. And it help you cough all that flame up and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, you know, what the hell is really going on and stuff. But you know, and then we finna go. Everybody's breathing in these chemtrails. And me, I believe that these chemtrails, y'all, it's a man-made chemical. It's a man-made concoction. I don't know what's in it and stuff. Radical Sister probably got some ideas on it. You know, we got her book over there too. But yeah, we all breathing this in. So we all really need to detox. Stop eating this mucus forming foods and stuff, milk and cheese and all that shit. I'm trying to slack up my cigarettes and stuff like that. Drink more water, more teas and stuff because I don't know what these folks is doing. And don't forget about the lithium battery plant explosion that happened a month ago, I guess. And, you know, all the foods, the salads and the fruits and stuff, we get like 70% of our fruits and vegetables from that area. It's not that immediate area because it was like 30 miles, I think, 20 miles to the salad bowl of America. Made me think about the Devil's Punch Bowl where they did all our people wrong and stuff and just threw them in that huge pit. Well, they call this place right here the Salad Bowl of America because they got all the fruits and the vegetables growing there. Well, that explosion at that lithium battery plant was like, you know, some miles away and stuff. But the plume into the atmosphere and into the waterway and the soil and stuff, you know. So I'm like, yeah, look at where you're getting your vegetables and stuff. If it's coming from that area, Salinas Valley, or you see it, you know, Salad Bowl of America and stuff like, don't get them. No. And tomorrow I'll bring out my list because I did write down some of the brands that's coming from that area. I sure did. I wrote them down and I'll find it and I'll share it with y'all tomorrow and stuff because we got to be selective of what we finna eat now more than ever. You know, we already know we can't eat like white folks anyway. Yeah, we supposed to be eating for us. You know, get our immune up and stuff, get our immune system up and stuff to heal our bodies and stuff. All that meat and shit ain't no good for you. Yeah, your body just firing off every night because you've been drinking that darn milk. I know. Yep, I love tea. Can't drink too much of it though because it dehydrates you. But yeah, and now I've just been drinking straight water lately because I done ran out of tea. But yeah, well, thank you so much, Small Fry. Yeah, I be trying to take notes and stuff because, you know, this is the most important thing to me. It's my people now. I know, hell, I went 40, 50 years before I realized what really mattered to me. And it's my people. It's Black people. You know, I'm not supposed to leave here until I help my people to see that we need to fix us, that we in dire straits. That's my purpose. You know, we all got a purpose and we might as well find it before we run out of time on this planet right here. We all here for a purpose. I believe our purpose here is to heal our people and have Black babies. So, you know, let's heal. Yeah, let's heal and have babies. I know, right? And I'll see y'all tomorrow because my battery's gonna die anyway. But yeah, good night and I love you, my people. Keep your gratitude and keep a song in your heart. Because I still got energy while I do some research stuff and I'm finna put on some Funkadelic or something. I might not want to put that on, but shit, you know, yeah, whatever is on. I like my music and stuff. Yeah. Before I would come on here and stuff, honey, I would come home from work and be dancing till 2 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, I do be up. But yeah, I'm just gonna put on me some music, maybe some DeBarge. You like DeBarge? You know, I know all this love. Yeah. Good night, small fry. And I'll see y'all tomorrow so we can open up our gift.